You are watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome back to another installment of Dan's Picks. If you're unfamiliar, Dan's Picks is the series where Super Dantastic refers me to a movie that he's seen and I haven't, and we watch it together and I review it. For this episode, I will be discussing the film Bronson, as the title of this video implies. Bronson is a film that's based on a true story about a British prisoner whose original name was Michael Peterson, but later changed his name to Charles Bronson when he was fighting in underground fight clubs. And after the film came out, he actually changed his name again to Charles Salvador. The film itself is sort of a biographical piece about Bronson and how he became what is known as now Britain's most violent prisoner. I can't remember the exact figure right off, but he's been in prison for well over 30 years, and he spent most of that time in solitary confinement. The film stars Tom Hardy as Charles Bronson, and frankly, Tom Hardy did a lot better than I expected. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Tom Hardy in the first place, it's just, I wasn't the biggest fan of him. To be fair, this is only the third role I've seen him in. He was Mad Max in Mad Max Fury Road, which I thought he did a good job. And he was Bane in Batman The Dark Knight Rises, which I have very mixed feelings about. Most of the film is just a straight-up retelling of Bronson's life. However, there are good portions of it where it's actually him telling the story in the form of a play to a fictitious audience. Bronson himself comes across as a really crazy guy the way he's depicted in this movie. And from what I've heard, the man himself actually really liked his depiction. He didn't particularly like the depiction of some of the other characters, but he liked the depiction of himself and his Uncle Jack. At the time of this recording, as far as I know, he's still in prison, and he is up for parole in a few years, if I'm not mistaken. But he is known for having very violent tendencies, and according to the film, he likes the inside of prison better than the outside. This film is really entertaining. It's got a lot of humor, it's got a lot of action, it's got a lot of violence. I think the thing that makes it truly entertaining, though, is the insanity of it. The way it's all depicted from Bronson's perspective, and the scenes between him and the audience in the little play stage are probably my favorite scenes in the movie, just because how insane it is. I'd say I prefer Man on Fire over this, but I'd say this is the best thing I've seen Tom Hardy in. And I'd say I definitely prefer this over Mad Max Fury Road as a movie, and over The Dark Knight Rises, although probably not over The Dark Knight or Batman Begins. With that being said, if you do want to see this movie, it is available on Netflix, and I recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it. A lot of things do happen in this movie, so the plot does go by fairly quickly, but it doesn't necessarily feel rushed because of it. Another thing about this movie is it's very quotable. Many of the clips of it have been used in other videos. One of the most commonly used one is the part where he says, "Shut the fuck up, you cunt." A lot of the lines in this are very memorable. Like, one of my favorites is the part where he's having this guy smear cream all over him. And he's like, "Smear it on my ass." And the guy starts smearing it on him. And he's like, "Not in my ass, you fucking homo, on it." Anyway, that's all I really have to say about Bronson today. I know this is a little bit shorter than the Man on Fire review, but there's really not a lot to talk about with this movie. It's enjoyable, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Probably my favorite thing is the insanity of it, but it's also got quite a lot of good humor. So, with that being said, have a great rest of the day.
Subscribe to Fugitive Red-Eye.